Hewitt.
Hi, hello. Um, let's see. I will go ahead. It's 6:02, and I will start this meeting. This is the Sustainability Committee meeting for Northwest San Pedro. It's Thursday, January 21st, and welcome everyone. I guess since once again, this is a fairly small meeting, we might as well all introduce ourselves. I'm actually going to elevate some other people to this meeting. There's B. Hewitt and Glenn A. I don't know who you might be, but I'm just allowing you to be able to unmute yourself if you have any thoughts. Welcome. Our members that are on the call right now or on the Zoom are Mary Yan Chan, myself, Gwen Henry, who's the chair, and Carlos Garcia, who's also there. And so perhaps we could all introduce ourselves real quick. Analia?
My name is Analia. I live by San Pedro High School. Concerned citizen, local activist. I'm going to be here. Hi.
Hi. And B. Hewitt, I guess that's your call letters.
Hi, I'm Basil Hewitt. I'm with Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts.
Oh.
And I'm an engineer working on the Clearwater project. So, and I heard it was going to be on the agenda tonight. And we've spoken to your group in the past.
Yes, you have. Well, I usually do have Clearwater. I'm kind of surprised to not see it on my agenda. Do I see that? Oh, there it is down at the bottom. Yes, that's a possible topic. Yeah, we'll get to you right away. And then Glenn.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Glenn Acosta
Yes.
with the LA County Sanitation Districts. I saw you had Clearwater as a topic, so I thought I would listen in and join you.
Okay. Well, thank you for both of you coming. I do know that there are a lot of there's an upcoming presentation. Isn't there a Zoom meeting?
Yes, on January 30th, it's a Saturday at 9:30. We're going to have the supervising engineer that's overseeing the construction give a presentation and talk about what we've accomplished this last year and then what's coming up over 2021.
Right. Well, this is the perfect opportunity because now that we've introduced ourselves, this is the public comment on non-agenda items, but we might as well go ahead and proceed with your anything that you want to say about it. Of course, you've changed the location of particular cement drilling. That was what was mentioned in the last board meeting. It's like cement, those cement pilings where the drill will have a spot to be inspected, correct?
Yeah, so we're doing work on Gaffey and we're injecting cement grout into the ground, creating this underground concrete block. And so that in the future, a couple of years from now, whenever that is, when the tunnel boring machine gets to that spot, it can drill partway through, stop, and then you'll have a nice dry environment to do maintenance on the front of the machine. And so we're doing these underground maintenance blocks ahead of time. We've completed 2 and the third one's on Gaffey. We're halfway done. We had to move the injection points a little bit because of some water lines that were there that weren't supposed to be there. So we're just moving things over. And because of that, we had to close Gaffey, or we'll close Gaffey on weekends from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. over the next 5 weeks. And I believe this weekend is the first weekend.
This upcoming weekend.
Yes.
Okay. Can you please repeat when that Zoom meeting is happening again?
It's, yes, next Saturday, January 30th at 9:30 a.m. The Zoom ID was, I think, provided to your group or to the council with a nice postcard, and it gives you the Zoom ID number there.
Right. Now, for anybody who's interested in that, who might be here, I guess that's Analia. That would be you. And of course, my committee members, that should be available on our website. I believe that that's posted as well as on social media.
Yes, and it's also on our Clearwater website too.
Right.
And it's also on our social media websites as well. We'll be advertising, so it'll be easy for anyone who wants to partake in that construction update. And I think,
Right.
Glenn, you will be moderating that, correct?
Yeah, so I'll give a brief background and introduce Russ, and then he'll take it from there. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He's done some large construction projects for us, and he's overseeing this construction, overseeing the contractor, has a wealth of information. I think you'll find it fascinating. So when you ask some detailed questions, he'll give you some detailed answers. So,
What's the website for this, please?
yes, it's Clearwater
Mhm.
.la, C as in Charlie, S as in Sam, D as in David, .org. Clearwater, LACSD.org.
clearwaterlacsd.org.
Yeah, and then there's a dot between Clearwater and LACSD.
Okay. clearwater.lacsd.org.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to type it now on a link.
Okay.
Renee. Thank you.
So how far have you gotten with the drilling, the actual tunnel boring?
The tunnel boring machine hasn't been assembled yet. That'll be assembled over the next couple of months. We're hoping to start the tunneling around summertime, so early summer, either May or June, somewhere in that time frame.
Okay. So as that's occurring, will we be receiving any updates, or now can one of our representatives communicate with you if, for example, there's vibrations or if anything's...
Absolutely. We're going to have a hotline, of course, but there are a lot of things in play installed along the tunnel alignment to ensure that there are no issues like that. And so we can talk about that next Saturday. But yeah, anytime there's an issue, you can call me on the hotline or which is available 24 hours a day, and someone actually answers. Or you can call me or Russ Vicaria, who's the person overseeing construction.
Great. Yeah.
And we can give you the Clearwater Hotline number.
Yeah, okay. Go for it.
Glenn, you want to give it to him?
I haven't memorized it today.
Oh, is it? It's 877-300 water. WATER.
There you go. Thanks, Basil.
WATE?
Yeah, ER. So 877-300 WATER. You punch that in. You either get Glenn, me, Russ. 24 hours a day, someone will pick up.
Okay, fantastic.
And it's been in, I don't know, Glenn set this up a while back. So it's been there as long as we've been doing this project.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually, the only thing I'm interested in is as the boring proceeds, I was curious about the water table in that area. You know, I'm sure you know you guys have done all of the geology and everything on there, but I was just interested in what the expectations are for the water table. Is it kind of a liquefaction? Are there some liquefaction areas in there that are very wet? Or
Great question. So the entire tunneling will be below the water table. The water table at the Carson is around 45 feet or so below the surface. We're going to start, somewhere around the 80 feet below the surface. And when we get to the Gaffey area, we're probably going to be around 60 feet below the surface. So still below the water table. And then when the tunnel boring machine makes the turn towards Capitol, that's when it starts getting deep. And when it's below Western and Dotson towards the beach, it's about 450 feet below the surface at its deepest point. And as for your question on liquefaction, we've done borings, taking boring samples all along the alignment. That's part of the process to really profile the geology. And so we know where there's sandy soils, and I actually have a presentation slides on that, but I won't do it tonight. But
yeah,
so that concern that you've expressed, we've analyzed, and it's not really impacting our tunneling, nor will tunneling cause liquefaction. You need very high intensity shaking, like an earthquake, to cause liquefaction. So the tunnel and boring machines don't do that.
yeah, I wasn't thinking
Yeah.
that they would do that, but if any of the areas if they're far enough below where if the entire area above it has that kind of makeup, that sandy makeup, could that conceivably shift the tunnel in any way if there was, for example, a seismic event?
No. So the sandy material that's in water is above where the tunnel will be, and it doesn't mean that the entire column of soil is made up of that material. They're probably small little layers above it.
Mhm.
So even if there's a little bit of settlement, it's a very small fraction of it. So so it's not really impactful. And out of all the soil borings along the alignment, there are very few that have that type of material along the way. So
Okay.
so does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you for the information. Does anybody have any other comments or questions regarding that?
I mean, yeah, call me ignorant, but what is this tunneling machine like overall for?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So real quickly, our largest wastewater treatment plant or sewage treatment plant is in Carson. It's the hub of our sewer system that serves over 5 million people. And when wastewater comes into that plant, it gets clean, and in less than half a day, it gets converted into clean water. And so that clean water is sent out to the oceans by 2 tunnels that end on Royal Palms Beach. And from there it's connected to outfalls. And so those 2 tunnels were built 60 and 80 years ago. And so the Clearwater project is about addressing this aging infrastructure. And we're building a new tunnel that is built to current seismic standards and large enough to handle the flows that we see during heavy storm events. And so it's a critical piece of the sewer system. So we have to ensure its reliability, and building a new tunnel does that.
Yeah, and if I could
That's
add,
why we're
Glenn,
embarking on this project.
yeah, and if you go to the Clearwater website, Glenn narrates a really excellent video that's an overview of the project. And what's really kind of lit a fire under us was in 2017, there was a very, very heavy rain event. If most of you remember, January of 2017, we had some unusually high rain.
Yeah.
And it came within, and Glenn might remember better than I, it came within probably 6 to 12 inches of flooding out that treatment plant because all this water was coming in off the streets. So, and once that water was coming in, it wasn't sewage, it was rainwater. It was getting within 6 to 12 inches of exceeding the capacity of those two tunnels. And if we had lost that treatment plant, we would be out of sewage treatment for God knows when.
For months or a year. Yeah, and it's not the only time that occurred. Over the last 20 years, there was a major storm that occurred in 1995, which again almost overwhelmed the capacity of the plant and the tunnels. And so we can't let the plant flood because it would knock out everything for months. And so we would have to open up the valves and the gates to let treated or partially treated wastewater go out to Machado Lake. And as you know, there's a lot of money spent restoring that lake, and we don't want to harm it. And if that's not sufficient, given the flows, the worst case scenario would be to go upstream and open up the gates by Dominguez Channel and allow raw sewage to go into that channel. And as you know, it'd flow to the LA Harbor and eventually to the beaches. So rather than wait for that terrible scenario to happen, we're trying to be proactive and address the aging infrastructure now.
Excellent work then.
And I'm not Glenn's publicist, but if you go to the website, the video won a national award because it did a really good job in like 5 minutes of summarizing the issue behind the Clearwater project. And it's not boring, I promise you that.
Yeah.
Basil was the director.
Well, do you even still have on the Clearwater site? There were a lot of presentations. In fact, one over at the main hotel over there in Coastal. Forgive me. Why am I blanking? The DoubleTree. Is that it?
Yes.
Poetry.
And are those also available online?
Yes. So there's a resources page, and there's some presentations that are on there, the slides by themselves, and also a narrated version. And so I did a recent one at the request of your council. And so there's a short narrated version that goes over some of the latest things. But I'm always available to do presentations and talk about specific topics. And usually that's what happens is when I'm out there, people have certain questions. And so I have slides to kind of address each topic.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you so much for participating in that and coming aboard. Does anybody else have anything that actually would be a non-agenda item?
Well, thank you for having us, giving us this opportunity to speak. And we just want to make sure as many people know about the January 30th at 9 a.m. Construction update. It'll be pretty informative. And I would even recommend kids attend if they want to learn about technology and how you build a tunnel. So,
Right. Hey, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us this evening, and I'm always available, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Night. Okay, for everyone else, I guess we should go to the next item. In regards to, this is actually old content, and Carlos is probably going to chew me out. I have yet to, we had voted a resolution letter regarding the risk management plans for Rancho LPG, and those need to be up on the website, and I need to get to that right away. One thing that, and I need to do that follow through, and that's on me. Very, very bad. One thing I also wanted to do was to share that resolution and letter, which we already have. Carlos, can you tell me if any of the other councils have voted on other than Coastal?
No, I don't think so, except Coastal did issue supporting our letter.
Yes, they did do a supporting letter.
Mhm.
Um,
Now, has the letter been sent to the court?
I believe that was the only thing that was done, but I need to follow through with Christina. I called her this morning to follow up on that, and did not hear back. So I will follow through on that tomorrow morning.
Because I know it's not yet on the correspondence tab of the
Right.
Northwest website. She should put that up. Has it been sent to the other listed addresses?
No, I still was completing the compilation of that, and that
Yeah, I know
again,
it's a
that's on
lengthy
me. That's something that I
thing.
need to do immediately, and
Okay.
that's my responsibility.
Is
So
this the
the-
same?
But it has been sent to the port at least, if not to the mayor or the governor or the
I
Polish
believe
city school district.
I believe that it should have been, yeah, it should have been sent to all of those main parties. Yes.
Okay,
It was just the
the
CC.
addressee.
Yeah, the addressees.
Okay.
Because Christina does have those addresses on hand.
Right.
But
Okay, well, given the current situation with the COVID crisis, this is not on the top of the list of the concerns of the city or the governor, but it's good that we do send it out and solicit a response.
right,
Otherwise,
right. And so, well, I'm glad. Are there any other thoughts regarding that? In regards to the being topical, I've mentioned this to the NCSA, and there is some interest in some of the the sister areas, such as Porter Ranch. They were the ones with that who had that Southern California gas breach. You know, anywhere that has these volatile situations that that could potentially happen in their neighborhood, this kind of letter would resonate, and we could actually form an alliance on certain tactical things. You know, that could be in all city. Neil, Annalee, do you know anything about this in particular?
I'm sorry, I zoned out for a second. 3-word brief on it is.
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat what it was? Like, just the word.
Oh, do you have the agenda in front of you?
Not on me right now.
Oh, okay, so what let me post that. Let me try to get that. Sorry, I'm dealing with a lot of different tabs.
Oh no,
Bear
I
with
get
me.
it. Me too.
We're talking about the letter that Carlos
Yeah, the resolution letter.
Okay.
back in
Well-
November. That was the last time we talked about this at the
Yeah.
committee meeting.
Okay.
Well, we're just revisiting that now because it's number 3 on there. Let me see if I can share the screen
Yeah, because that
for
was also
the
something that was
agenda.
sent to Attorney General.
Hold on for the agenda. Bear with me. Can you see the agenda?
I
No.
can see
Let's see.
the Q&A option, the lower hand option, and oh
There you go.
Okay.
Coming up.
yeah.
that
you're
it?
sharing- Yeah, there we go. I
Okay.
can see that.
Is that the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh, it looks crazy. Something happened to it. It's all off alignment.
Really looks fine on my end.
Really?
Yeah. Of course,
Crazy.
I got a real big screen, so
Is it kind of moving around and stuff?
Mhm.
no, it seems fine to me.
Okay. All right. So yes, we're on number 3 right now. That's this. So Neil, let's see. I can find it. Are you aware of a site that's over on Gaffey across from Home Depot, essentially? It's the, well, it's actually, Carlos, it's more closer, it's farther down from Home Depot, but that's where the rail spur is, correct?
Okay.
Well, it's right across from Home Depot.
Yeah, yeah, it's right across. So, you know, the storage facility over there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so, we were, after the Beirut explosion, we were just very concerned about it. It's been an ongoing issue for 40 years of
Mhm.
having concerns over it. So, Carlos crafted an extremely wonderful letter and resolution. We'd been approaching the port and Rancho and all the appropriate parties over and over again. And we finally want all parties to address this, because Beirut was a wake up. I really am interested in finding out what has happened to that Beirut port area since then. I mean, what's occurring now? It's been how many months since that explosion?
Well, the entire country of Lebanon is facing some extreme political instability right now, so not too much has occurred.
No.
But reconstruction is set aside from not much.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know some of the repercussions of this. I mean, being able to report on that and just say, listen, you know, this is
Mhm.
Gwen,
country
if you
resolution.
wanted to really go for that, I would suggest either contact the local council general. I'm not sure if Lebanon has one here in LA. It might be Washington, DC, to follow up to see what's going on there.
Yeah, I think that we might be able to gather enough information through the media, you know, like Al Jazeera even. No, you don't think so?
Well, this like getting news off CNN or versus going to government entities.
That's
So
true.
I think going through government entities would be better than just going through news media. That's
Yeah.
my opinion,
Okay.
and that's
All right.
okay. If you
Yeah,
don't agree.
No. I just it was just a general idea, not
Yeah. Well, do you want me to do that? I'll do that if you
Sure.
want.
sure.
I can find out from Lebanon if there's with the Lebanese port, what could be something official that they have update for 2021.
Or just, you know, how things are going over there because of that. I mean, just general, the city.
So what's going on with that letter? I know we tabled it in November.
No, it was voted on
So it would go
by the
through.
board.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we tabled, I was going to try to craft a resolution and letter that is more general or generalized. You know, we have it very specific to our neighborhood council that would suffer tremendous impact. But in order to get to communicate the significance of something that could happen to the port area and how that would impact somebody as far away as Van Nuys. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Create a letter and present it in such a way that they realize this is something that would impact people even in as far away as Van Nuys. So,
Gwen, this is Carlos.
yeah.
Do you know when the letter that was approved at the November board meeting was sent to the port?
No, I don't. And that's what I need to follow up on. I was trying to reach
Okay.
Christina today. Again,
Right.
I've been very derelict, so I will.
That's okay. There's a lot of things going on now. But was it shared at all with the Hank?
Yeah, I did not personally share it with the Hank. I thought that's where Coastal had been well, no, that was over at the joint sustainability meeting. I don't know if Ray has mentioned it to them. When is the next Hank meeting?
It'll be this coming Monday.
It'll be this Monday. Okay, well.
No,
then
not the
I'll-
Hank meeting. I misspoke. The president's meeting is this Monday.
Okay, well, let me reach out and see if Ray would be interested in mentioning that.
Well, it'd be good to get the support of the other neighborhood councils in this, as Coastal did, and reach out to Central to have them also, at least all
Right.
of San Pedro and Harbor City neighborhood councils should have an opportunity to review that resolution, and if they do choose to craft a motion of their own.
Yeah, okay.
Is
But
there a joint meeting, Coastal, Central, and West Sustainability?
I've got to honestly say I've been less than attentive to all of those things. Let me see.
I can ask, I can take some responsibility, Gwen. It doesn't all.
Oh,
have
well,
to
I was
be-
just Googling it up right now
Mhm.
while we're here.
Thank you.
Well, here's a related question. Has the port responded to our February 2020 letter from the board?
No, I have heard
Yeah, it's
nothing
been
about
very
that.
good. Well, there is a tracking sheet that the port keeps that's gone over at the president's meeting that lists the outstanding items from the various neighborhood councils. So you might let Ray know to make sure that a response to the February letter and to the November letters is included on that tracking sheet, and he can ask, you know, when we can expect responses to those two letters.
Right, okay. And once again, the president's meeting is this upcoming Monday.
This coming Monday. Since I can't Zoom, I asked Lori and Ray today to assign someone who can participate via Zoom
What time is it?
to that meeting, because it's pretty hard otherwise in a larger group to participate. So I'm not
Where is
quite
that
sure. Pardon me?
What time is that meeting, Carlos?
They start at 6 o'clock. But there is an approved list of attendees, and for Northwest, right now it's Ray and myself. So
course.
Lori and Ray have not gotten back to me in response to my email that I sent this morning, asking them to assign someone else that can participate via Zoom. I think Lori attended the November meeting because Ray couldn't, and I don't think there was a December meeting.
Okay, I'm writing notes as we go. I'm sure all of you
Okay.
can kind of see this.
Mhm.
I'll let you know if I can try to attend. Right now, I don't know yet.
Well, you would have to discuss it with Ray or Lori. Lori may want to attend along with Ray. I'm not sure, but the
I
port
mean,
limits.
I don't have to be official. I mean, Carlos, I can just attend. No?
Oh, well, it would be someone that, we don't have a port committee anymore, so there's no standing committee that would have the responsibility to attend those meetings with Ray, so.
Okay. Let's see, inquiry. All right. So, are there any other thoughts on this issue? Okay, seeing that there's nothing else to say about it. Okay,
Well, what was what are we going to do given this discussion? We're going to have someone contact the hang to see if it's, Ray will put it as an injured item, and then maybe as an issue for the Joint Sustainability Committee. And
let me,
ensuring-
I should tell you what I have listed here. Okay, so the Hank meeting, if I recall, it is still the first Wednesday of every month. And the request would be to put it in as an agenda item to discuss and invite the sister councils to sign on to it. Then the president's meeting is this upcoming Monday, and Ray and Lori will be attending.
Well, I'm not sure who besides Ray will be attending.
Okay.
Neither of them have gotten back to me.
All right, Nate, I'm going to put an asterisk on this. So the port has a docket of outstanding items from each neighborhood council. So inquire if the February 2020 letter that we had sent them, if the port has replied to that, and as well as this November 2020 letter.
Right.
Okay, so.
And then the other was to get Christina to post the letter on the website. And you had said that at least the 4 addressees had been sent a letter of support.
Provide. Yeah.
And I know there was a long list of CCs, but I think it was important to reach out to them too.
All the CCs.
And when the letter is posted online, it should include all the CCs in addition to the addressees.
Yeah.
And so when it's presented to the Hank, they know how far we've tried to reach out.
Yes.
And don't forget Attorney General.
It's on there. That's actually one of the addressed. That's one of the addressed.
No, it's not. I don't think it's an addressee. I think it was asked that it be included as one of the CCs.
I suggested to be included in that meeting in November.
Okay, as an addressee or as a CC?
Yeah, Carlos, I think that we agreed. I don't have it right here in front of me. I'll have to.
Why don't you check and we'll move on.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item, let me save this. All right. So I'm going to skip forward. I only have 2 CISs currently. And Mary, you were privy to it. We just didn't have quorum. I believe even though we have 5 members, that's Mary, you, Carlos, and myself. That's Peter Rothe and Tom Mader. So we do have quorum, and we could conceivably vote on 2 CISs. Now, Mary, we had discussed this. Huh? I'm about to pull them up. What it was when you see can you see item number 4 here?
Yes.
It was potentially divesting off of fossil fuels.
Yes, I remember that issue.
Yeah, I talked about it quite extensively because I was just trying to.
I remember we also talked about the wording at our last meeting in November.
Mm-hmm. And this is a good opportunity for, let's see, for Carlos to weigh in. Bear with me, I'm trying to pop these up. There's divesting number 1. And then I'll make them visible in a moment if you can just bear with me. Thanks for your patience. Here's the folder and okay. I think I have them. Let me try to share this. Do you know if I can share two things at once?
Unless I have it.
Let's see. So Carlos, what this was about is the city of Los Angeles has pensions, and as well as insurance. Bear with me. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Things are kind of popping up. Yeah, a lot of investments were made in order to cover the pensions and to protect them. And the city has formed a motion to divest those pensions, the investments that form the monies for the pensions, away from fossil fuel industries. And the motion is because climate change is the most important existential threat facing the planet right now, and that they, as well as fossil fuels, because it's a finite resource, and at some point that will not be a sound investment, that the goal is to divest the invest in other things other than fossil fuels when it comes to the pensions. So there's two items here, and let me see if I can mess with the screen sharing. New share. Let's see if I can get it. Can you guys, okay, share this one?
Okay.
You guys see the first one? It's a very simple motion. I mean, it's a simple CIS. And there's a reference to something there, which is lacers. If you can hold on, I'm gonna have to find the motion. So Carlos, since you're on the phone, essentially it's just the summary of this first CIS is the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council supports the motion to create a plan to divest lacers pension holdings from fossil fuel companies. City employees need to know their pension funds are safe. The city is actively engaged in protecting pension investments from climate transition risks. And there was a last statement that residents shouldn't have to worry about having to rescue a pension fund. So, meaning the community should not have to worry about having to rescue a pension fund from bad investments that could potentially happen if we remained invested in fossil fuels. And it took a slide. So Mary made the suggestion to remove that last comment, I believe.
It wasn't me for this one. It was the other letter.
It was the other one, yeah. But I agree with that that was not necessary.
However, just to add now, it reads, city employees need to know the pension funds are safe. And this comma, the city is largely engaged in protecting pensions investment from climate transition risk. Aren't these like kind of, they're not, it looks like it should be a period after the safe or semicolon, because the way it's written doesn't look correct to me.
City
Sorry.
employees, how about this? The city employees need to know their pension funds are safe, comma, and the city is actively engaged in protecting pension investments from climate transition risks.
What is climate transition risk means? Climate transition. I don't understand that meaning. Sorry.
I believe that that's a phrase that was actually used in the motion itself.
Okay, because it feels like that, because this is a sustainability issue, we're stating from the sustainability point of view, it's not sustainable to invest in fossil fuel,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So that shouldn't be that, just be written there somehow.
No, because well, we may be the sustainability committee, but we're doing this as an action because none of the other committees have, none of the other committees are considering putting a CIS in regards to this particular council file.
Because
So,
fossil
so
fuel
since we're-
industry is not sustainable, Glenn, and that's what we're saying. We want renewable, resourceful, more environmental friendlier energy source, not
Yeah.
fossil fuel.
we're just this is a CIS just saying whether we support or don't support this motion. A CIS doesn't get into thoughts about what we want them to do or anything like that. Right now, they are looking at investing into something other than fossil fuels. So we are saying that our neighborhood council agrees with this position, with this study, with this active idea of divesting out of fossil fuel industries. It's
Well,
very
that's okay.
simple. There's nothing fancy about it.
Right, we should just say that first sentence. Yeah,
And it does.
instead of 3, that's what I'm meaning. If
So do you want it to just say the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council supports the motion to create a plan to divest Lacer's pensions holdings from fossil fuel companies, and that's it?
yes,
Okay, what do you think, Carlos?
that's my opinion, but again, open to all the views.
Carlos, what do you think? Do you think that the second sentence, city employees need to know their pension funds are safe and the city is actively engaged in protecting pension investments from climate transition risks? Is that necessary?
Well, it's not necessary. It's a comment, I think, from our point of view or whatever. But I think that the main point of because I did look quickly at the CIS, they're calling for a study, right?
Yes.
So we should say we're in support of such a study.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, make it simple because there's so many words on all the documents and all these emails they're getting. I can imagine that their eyes are going cuckoo. Thank you. Yep.
Okay.
Simple to the point.
One sentence. There we are. Done.
Move on.
Oh, okay. So we have that one sentence. Take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes. CIS there. Okay, and now let me see. I'm going to do a new share. This is also a sister CIS for this.
The same thing. No? Wait a minute. That was this before.
Is that it? Okay. There's two different council file numbers. One is 191577. That was the one we just did. And this one is 200492.
Right. This is the one I commented on last time in November.
Yes, and this is the insurance policies.
Yes.
So the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council supports the motion to perform an inventory of the city's insurance policies so that the city can reorient its purchasing power towards insurers who aren't heavily invested, and underwriting fossil fuel industries. And I agree with Mary that the second sentence is unnecessary. We already removed it from the other one, so that's stricken.
Question.
Is that good to go?
Question.
Yes.
I see that, so the city can reorient. How about redirect its purchasing power towards insurers instead of reorient? Redirect, or another word that, great, thank you.
Okay.
Or refocus is also another adjective, great, proactive. Again, just my opinion to make
What-
it very precise.
But yeah, which one would you like?
Carlos? Gwen?
It's a word.
Well,
You seem to be interested in it. So is it redirect or refocus? What do you want to do? It's cool. Redirect? Okay. All right.
Carlos, what'd you say?
What is the language itself in the,
Oh,
in
The
that
sentence?
council file? Yeah. What verbs do they use? If we can.
I'll read it to you. Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council supports
no.
the motion to perform an inventory of the city's insurance policies so that the city can, the old word is reorient, but I suggested redirect or refocus. And the next sentence is its purchasing power towards insurers who aren't heavily invested and underwriting fossil fuel industries.
I believe his question was slightly different. If you can hang on a moment, I'm gonna go to it right now.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
That's okay.
I'm opening it up. Let's see, there's the motion. Unfortunately, I won't be able to open up the motion and have you guys see it because I would have to download it. Let's see, maybe I can download it while.
Yeah, I'm gonna be picky with my words because I used to be a contributing fashion editor, so I used to write a lot. Sorry, Glenn.
I'm good. All good. Any input is just fine. I'm just trying to put it
Appreciate your help.
into this folder. Okay, so this is the CIS itself. Oh, I think I already had it in there. Ah, really? It was already in there?
Oh, Neil, thank you for that link.
Yeah, don't worry, I got you.
Here it is. I did have it in here already. Bear with me. Yeah, it was on the agenda. The clickable link is available on the agenda. Okay, so let me see if I can open that. Here it is. All right, there it is. That's the motion. So in that, this is the preamble about climate change. It's one of the greatest existential threats. The city of Los Angeles is taking steps to decrease its carbon footprint. And it also has many opportunities to use its leverage as a large customer to encourage suppliers to reduce their own climate impact. One such opportunity is its insurance purchasing. So it is time for Los Angeles to lead by example. Stop giving businesses to insurers that contribute to the global problem of climate change by investing in underwriting in fossil fuel operations that pose the greatest harm to our climate, such as coal mining and tar sands drilling. Okay, so I therefore move that the council instruct the city administrative officer, risk management, with the cooperation of department chief sustainability officers to report in 30 days with an inventory of insurance policies held by the city, and a scoring system to rate insurers based on the extent to which they invest in and underwrite companies engaged in fossil fuel operations that pose the greatest harm to the environment, specifically coal mining and tar sand drilling. And I further move that the council request the city administrative officer and the airport water and power and harbor departments to report in 90 days with options for how to take the above rating into account when choosing companies from which to purchase or renew insurance. So with that, do you believe that that single sentence will do okay with the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council supports the motion to perform an inventory of the city's insurance policies so that the city can redirect its purchasing power towards insurers who aren't heavily invested in underwriting fossil fuel industries?
Read that last part of the sentence.
So that the city can redirect its purchasing power towards insurers who aren't heavily invested in underwriting fossil fuel industries. The phrasing here is to.
Yeah, I think that would, the city council motion only comes as asking they develop a scoring system so they can use that as a factor in selecting insurance companies. They may want to choose another insurance company that offering a better rate, but
Right,
so,
right. But this is
I think the intent is how we've phrased it. So I think that would be okay.
So you believe it's sufficient? I agree too. I don't think there's anything. They know what we're saying. They're familiar with the insurance, the motion for insurance. Yes, Mary.
Is there any reason why it's written aren't instead of are not?
No. Good.
Thank you.
I got a thumb up. Okay. So are we good? Would everyone want to take a vote on this? So all who are in favor,
Yay.
Carlos?
Okay, aye.
Okay, and okay here. All right, so we have 2 CISs. Now the other items, I don't believe I have anything prepared for them yet. Let's see if I can get back to the agenda. Bear with me. All right, so I will write down first that, oops. Okay. So vehicle idling, I wanted to get a little bit more about. There seems to be a CIS that is coming from the NCSA that they will be releasing fairly soon in regards to vehicle idling, as kind of an all-city support for that. And some other things that came out. Mary, were you able to attend this last NCSA meeting by any chance? They do have those recordings. It's really worth listening to, if you're doing other things and just listening to the dialogue, it's very enlightening on different topics that are citywide. This latest one was, the theme was trees. I kind of mentioned it in the board meeting. There are 3 different council files that would have a significant impact on the city's trees. And what's happening is, and I'll try to give you the rundown. The city of Los Angeles has an inventory of trees, and trees, of course, are absolutely essential, especially in the hotter areas. Wilmington is tree poor. A lot of the harbor is very tree poor. As a consequence, the surface temperature of the ground is very hot in the summer. Trees provide a difference in temperature of up to 30 degrees, 10 to 30 degrees on a very hot day in Los Angeles. And that actually has been documented and recorded with infrared thermometers.
But I think we all love trees, so
I'm sorry?
I think we all are in support of more trees. So what is the question?
It's not a matter of support. What's happening is that we have an inventory of trees, and a lot of them are dying through various things. Do you remember that there was about 10 years back, 5 to 10 years back, there was a Save Water campaign, where you only irrigate your lawn on
Yes,
Tuesdays or Thursdays
drought.
or things
drought because of the drought.
because of the drought, right?
Yes, of course.
What happened was that people, that campaign was highly successful, except for one thing. People stopped watering their lawns, but the city neglected to tell them that they should still soak their trees, that the trees still needed a lot of water. And trees all over Los Angeles died. When they die, they become a hazard. When they die, they no longer provide shade. And the attrition to the amount of trees were dying everywhere. And this even included in the parks. The parks also weren't properly irrigating the trees. They were dying. Medians, you name it.
And a lot of what I saw, I noticed that they also are not being cut to grow better. Are they not being pruned?
Well, let me finish just some of the impacts. So there's 3 council files that are happening right now, and some of them are going through the Planning and Land Use Committee. Actually, there's a plan. Metro has a plan to install digital billboards and to raise funds that they no longer have and to replace lost revenue. So the situation is that when those billboards are going to be placed, they actually chop down trees and they do not replace them with any. Even if you replace the tree, if you take a tree, they'll cite it. They'll decide, well, we're going to put it on Metro property, the stuff that's within our jurisdiction. And most of the time, Metro use trees as buffers, sound buffers, all along the roadsides and everything. Those trees are being torn down by Metro for sound walls, which it turns out is not as effective as a tree. And in the case of digital billboards, they're deciding the proper place to place them. And what they do is they pull down the trees that are in that location and any trees that may obstruct the view of those billboards. This is all chopping down trees to advertise, to give advertisers the ability to pay money to sell something to people driving by. So the Planning and Land Use believes that this is a safety hazard. and a lot of other things. But the other issue, I was going to add a sentence to provide to PLU, which is that it also will increase the the lack of trees in Los Angeles is pretty serious, and that chopping them down, it increases pollution, it
Okay.
removes that sound barrier, and
We get it. Yeah.
yeah,
right?
you get it. So
get
that's
it.
going to be a sentence that I was just a suggestion to send to them. Also,
something Written out, or you want to write something? I don't understand.
it was going to be something that planning and land use was going to vote on.
Okay.
So it isn't anything that we have to formally do, but
But we
I
can
just,
support it and say we support it as sustainability committee.
I was just going to give it to Diana, and then she was going to add it to her wording for her motion. Then there's council file 11-1705, and that one is kind of odd because there really isn't any. I think that's the one that there's no actual way to give input on it because it already was voted a long time ago. But there have been some impacts, unexpected impacts of this council file. So let me see if I can plug that one up. All right, here it is. So the last one that was submitted, there's been several different things. Northwest San Pedro, our planning and land use committee actually provided feedback and input on this back in February. Our neighborhood council did. So we voted on this.
Yeah.
But there was
I
no
remember.
mention. I'm sorry?
I said I remember that issue of the trees come up.
Well, that was the digital billboards one. So what you can do, what every board can do is continue to submit more council files on a particular issue. So the trees situation is something that I was going to let them handle. So I was going to give them the input. Let's see.
Sure. Should we go
Where
back
is
to
it?
vehicle idling?
Well, I'm just giving you, there's, well, anyway, yeah, so I do suggest that everybody visit some of those events that are on the NCSA website. And Neil, let me give you that website.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you would go to the events tab, and there's a couple that I'm actually going to be re-listening to and taking additional notes. It's the website is www.ncsa.la, and when you go there, go to past events in the events tab, and they're recorded. The most recent one was Your LA Trees, but there's the last thing that occurred. It was amazing. I'm gonna have to find it.
Yeah, I'm pretty well versed on the issue of urban heat sinks and stuff like that.
Yeah. but the problem is that there seems to be, even though the mayor's city plan, part of that Green New Deal thing is to plant tons of trees. The problem is that there's about 5 different methods in which the city of Los Angeles does not have a policy that preserves the trees, or well, let me give you the example. If you have a very large shade tree that's of a species that has a canopy that's very large, it's okay to chop that down and then plant another one in another location. Well, first, what's been happening is that a community will have a whole row of shade trees, and they're huge. Maybe they're ficus or something, but which is, it tears up the sidewalks and that kind of thing. But the shade value of a very old established ficus is very good. Again, up to 30 degrees underneath a dense canopy like that. And what they're doing is that they're allowing those to be chopped down, and then if they're even designated to be replanted, a replanting to replace it, it can be in a different community, because they decide that, well, this particular street does not have the irrigation available to nurture a new planting. So since there's no irrigation, and we don't want to invest in the irrigation to establish a new set of trees, we're going to send it over to this other community that has the irrigation already, infrastructure.
Which will be wealthier communities that already have these sort of things set up.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, Neil.
And yeah, the people who have irrigation all set up will often be wealthier communities that, already have fairly good protection from urban heat.
Exactly.
And
So what happens is
Like a
that
gardener.
another community will benefit, and they will be tree rich, whereas the other community will no longer have trees. And
I'm sorry. Yeah, one only has to look at Palos Verdes to that.
right. And sadly, with the NCSA, there's an action group that has been documenting the loss of trees. Now, the other part is that was a very large, heavy, established, massive canopy. Well, when you tear that down and you put up a seedling or a very young tree, you're not going to get that shade back for decades. That shade's gone. Now, not only that, when you put in a young tree, more often than not, it dies. So you've lost that tree. And when this small one dies, there's no accountability to say, well, that one died, we got to plant another one and replace it. It just dies and that's it. There's no tree. So you don't have future shade, you don't have current shade, everything's messed up. Plus, on top of that, the city is going to a group of species of trees that they're smaller in stature. Yeah, Mary.
Yeah, so what I've noticed throughout the county of Los Angeles is a few things. There's no sustainability, like you said, in the tree maintenance or planting, because I find that a lot of the trees that they planted are not sustainable, first of all. They're not even the right trees, because you can tell the roots, over a certain time, the roots have outgrown and buckle the sidewalk. So instead of the sidewalk being smooth, it's now crooked. Do you understand what I'm saying, everyone?
Yeah, well,
exactly.
they're trying to get away from those trees, and they're going with different species that don't do that. And it's more for economic reasons. And so what that ends up being is that the the trees in some areas are being limited to basically 2 species, and they're very small ones. They grow to maybe, you know, they aren't really shade trees. They're just a tree.
What
They will
type of
never
tree
be a
are they,
shade tree.
Karen? Do you have the list?
I've been told in certain areas it's a gum, and unfortunately I have to go through the meeting. There were a lot of notes, but I actually spoke to one of the people on that tree committee, and I mean it's pretty nuts. But what's kind of interesting is that they're now, this was last year, in order to there never really was an urban forestry director. So one was hired.
Evident.
One was hired last year. And she is currently looking for tree species. They don't have to be native. They don't have to be a native tree species. She's looking for anything that will survive without anyone irrigating it. You know, you don't add water. It can survive in any soil, whether it's clay or whatever, basically survive all ignoring whatsoever. It doesn't matter if it's in direct sun, in complete direct sun or what. There is no such tree. If you want a tree that will live without any attention whatsoever or any water, for example, if you create a water well that's about yay big and the trunk is this big, there's no water that's ever going to get into it because it's capped by sidewalk, then basically what you want is a sculpture. You don't want a tree.
Well, yeah, aside from picking the correct tree species, the problem is maintenance. And of course, we know that this year is going to be very hard because LA had to cut off its budget because of COVID. Meaning we didn't have the revenues to continue. So I can see it's a huge challenge for across LA County.
Oh, we have the revenue. We're just misappropriating its use.
Where do you think it's going?
I mean, 50% of the city's budget goes to our police department, so, you know, that's pretty much it.
And that's pretty moving on. We've been redirected for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot of biologists and ecologists that are in this group, and a lot of scientists, and they're actually people from UCLA who are actually doing an inventory of the trees. And what's happening is through the policies in Los Angeles, there's been an attrition, and instead of gaining forest and gaining shade, which is going to be more and more important as we go further, we're losing our canopy. The numbers are pretty dramatic, and it's through a series of different policies that Los Angeles has, and so this is what's trying to be addressed. That will be coming forward fairly soon. The other thing is that I'm sure that you've seen in the news that the butterflies and the birds there was a devastating effects because of the fires.
Yeah.
That we've always had a migratory path up and down the coast and inland. There's flocks that go past the mountains and they go towards Mexico, through New Mexico and Arizona. And what happened is with those fires, they didn't have enough. These are the theories that are going right now, that they were sent between the heat and the fire pushing them. They didn't have the food. They weren't well fed enough to make that trip.
Oh,
They
sad.
lost their destinations, their stopping points along the route because it was all inflamed. And the actual toxins that were in the air killed them. So all three of those things. Now, what we have also done here in Los Angeles is is that there were a lot of wild areas where those resources were available. All of Los Angeles, its entire basin, was also part of that migratory route. And along the coastline, that's some of the most rich food sources for all sorts of birds, not just marine birds, but all sorts of migratory birds and butterflies as well, the monarch butterfly.
Probably bees as well.
Yeah, bees are not migratory unless you take their boxes.
They go.
But so one of the things that everybody's interested in is to return a lot of the species that we have pulled out and put grass and green and a lot of non-natives in. Each native tree, for example, can support up to 1,500 to 2,000 different unique species of everything from insects, birds, animals, you name it. 1,500, 2,000. A non-native tree has anywhere between 20 and maybe 100, but that's about it at best. So what we have done is we have made an environment that's hostile to a whole series of creatures that rely on each other and actually create a if we lose all of these things, basically we've created a sterile environment and we don't have much chance of surviving.
Destruction of the environment.
Without pollinators,
Yes.
you know the rest. I hope you guys know the rest. Anyway, so there's going to be some motions coming through that. I've tipped off Diana in planning and land use that these things are happening, and there's going to be a little bit more collaboration. I'm going to be keeping eyes on what the NCSA is bringing forward, and anything that is kind of in her wheelhouse, I'm going to send her way, and hopefully in turn the planning and land use committee also has a lot of items that might be sustainably related, different things that are coming through development wise. So there's a lot of change in development and everything. So a lot of projects that will impact our quality of life. So those are some of the things that we really need to think about. Now, let me go back to
Vehicle idling?
let's see, going back to the agenda. Do you guys see the agenda again?
Yes.
All right. So that's the,
What about the idling and the RV?
well,
I mean, EV.
I mentioned the idling before, that the NCSA is still developing developing something for that council file.
Mhm.
And the rental EV thing, I thought that it would have some relationship to the cruise ship lines and the Port of Los Angeles here. What it is that LAX is going to be creating a new parking area that's also a rental area that is transitioning over to electric vehicle.
Cool.
And it's pretty amazing, actually. And I was just trying to find out if that had any relationship to possibly the movement of vehicles that are being exported and or imported from other countries into Los Angeles from the Port of Los Angeles, or if there was a need for for that kind of facility here near the cruise ships and the cruise lines. I don't know. So,
Question.
yes.
Do we still know if they're cutting back the Metro Silver Line due to electrical constraints?
You mean taking it from buses to?
Essentially, and this may even just be hearsay, I heard from a good source that essentially the Silver Line Metro route was getting cut out of San Pedro due to the fact they would have no place to charge the electric buses they're going to be putting in.
That's it. That would be an interesting development. I will check. I will check to find out what's going on there. Here.
Yeah, as a frequent bus user, that is a key.
The community issues people might be on that, anything to do with the Silver Line, but I will inquire. I'll put that in as a
I
point.
mean, a parking lot of the Metro, Neil?
Yeah, I heard from good authority there was a consideration for a cut to the Silver Line Metro because of lack charging space.
Never heard of that yet. I'd be surprised because
I would too, but like, you know, LA has shown it doesn't take public transit very seriously, so I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be that surprised, you know?
understood, because I feel like well, West Harbor, formerly known as San Pedro Public Market, I imagine that they would be supplying some electric EV stations if the Metro wasn't, even though they're not close to.
Well, and that's the question is like, would Metro even be able or allowed to use those? You know what I mean?
Well, in regards to EV, I went to a meeting again regarding the future of electric charging stations and transitioning Los Angeles to this kind of electric and mobile city of the future. The people that were involved in that meeting were engineers, transport designers, you name it. And they had actually, the studies have been done in regards to the ability of basically digging up the streets, finding out the best locations in order to create these corridors, bringing electric charging stations throughout the city. The environmental justice aspect of it, you cannot just bring electric vehicle infrastructure to the wealthy areas or the business areas such as downtown, maybe the new corridor that's going to the ocean from downtown, that it is absolutely crucial that this kind of infrastructure go in, especially to the more economically challenged areas.
Yeah, poor places.
Yeah. That the people who will need this the most and are always left off the table are the communities that just don't have the
need it
funds.
the most.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, I'm not sure. I still haven't even seen them yet, but one of the things that has been going in recently is that there are charging stations that are being placed in different locations they aren't clearly labeled. But
There's an
Uh,
app.
hmm?
There's an
Street-
app for it.
yeah, but
A
it's
lot
street
of
park.
apps for it. So if you own an EV right now, you would have those apps and you would know where to go. Or if you're visiting somewhere else, you would find out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that at those spots, one of the things that they haven't done yet is that if you have a gas vehicle and you park in that spot erroneously because you didn't notice that it was electric charge, right now they're still going through and giving you a ticket and a warning saying that that you will get ticketed in the future. Also, they're trying to work with the challenges of they don't want somebody with an electric vehicle to park in one of those charging areas if
All
it's street
day.
charging all day. They want you
I
to then charge and then leave. So there's warnings with that as well. And they're still trying to figure out how to go about that. But I will find out if there's anything about cuts to the Silver Line.
I mean, my complaint with LA is further than that, in that, like, just when it comes to transit in general for non individual cars, like city of Los Angeles is just a complete mess when it comes to those things.
Yeah.
If
But
you compare Chicago and New York, we're like decades behind them.
yeah, well, this place is so big. It's
Even
just,
so in New York.
it's a big city. And I think that the challenges are that it's just too big.
Well, I mean, Tokyo, Mexico City, like New York, all of them have functioning transit systems that are pretty well regarded. And all three of them inland area size big than LA.
Yeah.
It's more that there's just a determined lack of political will.
It's also, yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, it's
No,
pretty,
Garcetti doesn't take it seriously. I mean, we can be honest.
yeah. I'm having, I'm trying to grapple with some of the, yeah, I'm not gonna go.
Not just Garcetti, because it's really the government's issue.
Oh yeah, it extends far further than
Yeah.
Garcetti. It's the city
Because-
council, it's Newsom, like it's all the way down.
Because remember, we used to have tax incentives for buying vehicle cars. There are no more.
Well, actually, there are still
Not as
incentives.
big as they used to be, Glenn, because I looked into it. My next car will be electric. I'm already looking for the past
Yeah.
6 months. And the next car I have, it's not hybrid, it's not gasoline, it's gonna be electric.
Right.
Hands
Yeah.
down.
And those
I'm-
actually those rebates are through the county. I believe it's a county thing. And as
Yeah,
the,
but back in the day, in the beginning, it was much higher. So it's really
Yes,
the
it was.
government's, I feel it's the government's undoing and unsupporting for the rest of us to say, hey, we're gonna give you more incentives to go greener and better for the environment because there's not enough, so that we don't have more carbon gases going up. That's a really big problem.
Well, like for me, right? Like I'm too poor to afford basically any car, right? So I basically have to use public transit to get around. And the issue is like the city just doesn't, like, straight up just doesn't show any support for its public transit system. For example, there was an ordinance saying there would be a bus shelter at every bus station. I for the buses, I would use on average about different stations a week, and one of them is a actual bus shelter, and most of them don't even have benches. And it's like, excellent. I guess I'll just stand for half an hour.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I
yeah,
agree.
and then if you're talking about like subway, the city's an absolute fucking joke. Like,
oh, we're being recorded.
I mean, I'm not on city council. I can say.
No, I know.
use
I know.
fun words.
Anyway,
This is
Uh,
First Amendment.
Well, actually, since we're now just talking about things, could we, does anybody have interest in bringing this up as a topic at the next meeting?
What topic?
Anything regarding the public transportation system.
Oh, yes, I'd love to.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not on council, but I'd be down to do it, sure.
Um,
I support that too.
well, what it really would be is, there might, I will check to see if there's any council files regarding this that we should voice up on.
Mhm.
Thank you. Neil?
Yeah, what's up?
Hi, this is Mary. So I wanted to let you know there is a program called, and everyone else, Replace Your Ride. Replace, REPLACE, Your Ride, RIDE. It's a partnership in which that it's in California only. It's only certain people can qualify, lower income, and there's a list. The point is to replace if your family has a car that's older and you wanted to upgrade and change it to a more fuel efficient, even if it's a gasoline to gasoline, it can, as long as it's more efficient in fuel. But then you can also do a
Well, I don't have a
hybrid.
car. I have a car in the first place, so
Oh, okay. But for the future of people,
will do. I'll keep it in mind.
Okay.
I don't really plan on getting a car anytime soon, though.
All right.
Just
But on the
thing.
meantime, I support in every way on any transportation. I've lived in Hong Kong. I've lived in New York, where I took the subways almost every day,
Mhm.
anytime,
Yeah.
all the time. So I understand the importance of public transportation.
Well, I believe that once again, the focus has been on in certain corridors. San Pedro, everybody's been a little bit perturbed at the idea that nothing has been done to bring proper transportation, public transportation down to this end. The Silver Line
Oh
seems to be,
yeah. Oh yeah.
is disappointing. The Metro, the last funding for public transportation, the train system and the transport system ends in Torrance.
Yeah.
And it's not, this is for the
Hey,
next,
It's an
what is it?
opportunity to open a business, Neil. Go ahead.
Oh man, with what cap though?
GoFundMe. There's a lot of money out there, but you just gotta write the right business plans.
Well, wait. What kind of business are you suggesting even?
So for example, in
Well-
Hong Kong, we have other transportation, public transportation like we all know here in the States,
Mhm.
such as subway, buses, and we also have
Okay.
trams, and then we also have minivans. So what this minivan to, I'll give you an example. If there's a group of folks from San Pedro have to go to work in downtown, okay? Every Monday to Friday, this van can leave a certain time from San Pedro and just drive directly to downtown LA. That would be the own private or private, but it's a group, it's a target destination for these
Mhm.
folks to go. So that in terms, it's not public transportation, but it's a reduced fare and won't be as
Yeah, yeah.
costly as a taxi or Uber, for
Mhm.
example. Are you with me?
Well, it's say that right because if you really look at like one of my like side hobbies is city history. If you
Mhm.
really look into city history, we had something in Los Angeles, the Pacific Electric, right, which was essentially a privately owned mass transit system that operated interurban,
Yeah.
basically across the entire city,
Okay.
and was doing a really good job with until it got bought out by Firestone, who wanted to sell more tires and thus encourage the freeway and car buying system. And really, the freeways we have now,
Yeah.
right over the old Pacific Electric rail tracks, like exactly over it.
Oh, wow, okay.
Mhm.
So in regards, Neil, in regards to the public transportation system and not having shelter, one of the things that is being discussed is street furniture. And that's actually going to be a topic with the NCSA coming up fairly soon. Once again, just like the billboards, replacing green with hardscape. The street furniture is also something that it's kind of one of those things where a tree will be sacrificed for shelter. Um, um, and I need to find out more about that particular aspect. It seems to be its own thing, but that is something that's being invested in. It has its own council file, and there's it's going to be something that is being mentioned in planning and land use, and you might want to visit that.
Oh, I
So
keep with them
that
pretty
meeting.
closely, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to be investigating a little bit more and see where the NCSA, some of the tree experts on that, because really honestly, there should be some trees,
Mhm.
kind of a pleasant little area
Yeah.
to sit in, you know?
Yeah. In fact, there was this huge ass tree a block from where I live.
Mhm.
Absolutely enormous. And just one day they just fucking chopped the whole thing down. And yeah, the entire like street gotten hotter and shittier because of it.
Awful.
Actually, where is that located?
Yeah.
This would be 15th and I embarrassing that I don't know my cross streets, but I think it's 15th. It's right by San Pedro.
Do
What
you do you actually have a photograph of that location? Because one of the things that was communicated to me is we need to start documenting
Hmm.
these tree
Yeah,
losses.
15th and
It
Leyland.
is occurring across the city. And once again,
It is.
for example, there's a list of trees that the Department of Transportation and other departments have as these trees they're going to go, and it's for whatever reasons that there.
Yeah. The excuse they were using was, oh, poking up against the power line, so it's not
Right.
safe. But it's like you could have just trimmed it though.
Yeah.
Well, there are ways of fighting it, but before the fact of it getting chopped down, it would be. I wouldn't mind if you actually got to me and maybe did a photograph of it. I might be
Oh,
able
I
to
have
get
a
it.
photograph right now. I just don't have it posted on the Zoom.
Oh,
Oh,
on
wait,
email maybe for
you can
Glenn.
email it. You can email it to me. Let me give you my email.
Okay.
That would be, unfortunately, it's my whole name.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to
The
change.
only text I have any access to on Zoom, the question and answers thing. That's it.
Q&A?
Yeah, that's basically all.
You can
You
probably
get,
do
Okay.
like
Q&A, Gwendolyn.
none
Yeah, I will do
of
that.
videoing
Here we go.
access.
Like I mentioned, I just feel that when they do the trees and they're pruning them, they're not really giving any correct directions. Because I've seen, like you said, Neil, they just hack the trees. There is no reason how they don't shape it in the correct way. The city of in Pomona, we have a University of California, and there is an arboretum major. There's a study of all the trees, cultural. There's a huge degree because I call them myself. So I know that those folks can help. I'm not sure about UCLA, but I'm sure at the Pomona because they're giving these bachelor degrees out because they've studied it for years. So I don't see how UCLA can help because I don't feel that there is a horticultural degree that they issue. That's
All
just
right,
weird.
so I've been got the email ready. I just
Hold
need,
on, I'm trying to find how to get back to the comments. Oh, here's the Q&A. Thank you. Let's see if I don't have the ability to,
Can you just press type answer?
yeah, I
Include
see
an
where, yeah, there we go. All
answer,
right.
and type answer there. Maybe.
what an absolutely awful user interface.
There we are.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'll send that to you literally right now.
And I will trying to copy your comment here.
It is so frustrating. Oh, goodness.
Interesting. I am unable to copy. Oh, there, I got it. Okay, copy that. Well, we're up on the 7:47 mark, but once again, if you get an opportunity to see that one trees thing on the NCSA, what you have just relayed, Neil, is something that is happening citywide. And what the answer that was conveyed to you does not account for the fact that it was chopped down, and I doubt that there was a replacement anywhere in
No.
the area. And
Yeah,
it's
the entire
actually
street is desolate now.
this kind of accountability, it has a direct impact on the quality of life. So hopefully you know, that there is another thing. For example, there is a war against eucalyptus trees, as well as pine trees,
That
which
one,
actually,
the eucalyptus, I'm a little understanding of.
well, what it turns out is that there used to be types of trees that the monarch butterfly could overwinter in. And in Southern California, this was actually an overwintering destination as well. The eucalyptus is seen as a flammable tree. And because of that, they are removing them from a lot of communities. But unfortunately, that is the type of tree, since the native species that used to be in the area don't exist anymore, or the monarch butterfly has adopted that as an overwintering place. And now that those locations are so few and far between, when you chop down groves and things like that, or individual trees, you are also, it's just one more stake in the monarch butterflies, you know, just losing another location for them to possibly survive.
An absolute mismanaged fest, that
Yeah.
city council.
So, well, this is actually statewide.
Yeah.
This is happening. So, same thing with certain kinds of pine trees. They're also good shelters for a lot of different animals, even though they're not native to the area. So anyway, I'm gonna provide some more information on how that might be able to be reported. We might have a tracking system here. I'm gonna try to collaborate with Diana in planning and land use to try to do that. They have a very strong tree input into a lot of things that are going on in Los Angeles. So anyway, thanks for your input. It's 7:50. Does anybody have anything else to possibly discuss? Seeing none. Carlos, you've been very
Okay.
patient. You've been very patient with the rambling discussion.
Oh, no, it's always good to discuss things.
Oh, there was one more thing. Phillips 66. Last week, in the last week, there was a big flare up, a series of flares, and there was some kind of condenser that had broken, and the AQMD came out, and apparently they say everything's fine, that there was that any fumes that came out went up in the air, so they weren't breathed or anything. I got to find out some more about that. But the flare,
I'm not gonna believe that.
the flaring that's been coming from that has been pretty dramatic, and there have been different occasions. The warning system didn't kick off. I let Melanie know, the public safety person, and she put in inquiries. We'll find out more from her committee. But if anyone sees anything like that, please notify. There's a notification system or an email system. I forget what the hotline is for Phillips 66. I'll have to find that out. But it might be on our website, Neil. But since we're so close to all of this infrastructure, we really need to monitor that. Everything that's going on, you know, if you see something that you're concerned about that disrupts your quality of life, this is the opportunity to do something about it. So, all right.
Gwen,
Yes.
Gwen, before we sign off, I was just thinking it might be good to send Lori and Ray copies of the February and November resolutions regarding rail transport out of to LPG, so they can have them when those items might come up. It's usually at the end of the president's meetings when Arlie Baker goes over the tracking sheet for all the issues outstanding with the neighborhood council. So it would refresh their memories too about what those two resolutions were asking.
Carlos, if you have an opportunity to reach out to me tomorrow or the next day, or I'll call you if I come across any problems or difficulties.
Okay, no problem. Just give me a call.
Okay, all right.
Okay, can I ask a question? How is your mom? I know she was.
Oh, yeah. So this is the COVID situation. My mother's in an assisted care living place in Culver City, and there's about 110 residents. 23 of them got COVID. It slipped in either through, it's one of two places. But I have my suspicions that it happened when the residents were allowed to have social distance visiting outdoors in the courtyard with their family members. But my mom's roommate had reported to me that some of the family members were not following that social distancing rules. And of course they want to hug and kiss their relatives. So that would happen on, goodbye. Anyway, 23 residents got it. 8 of them passed away, including my mother's roommate. My mother, happily, she did have it. She's 93 and she had flu-like symptoms, but she did okay. I'm very upset about my mother's roommate. She's a very lovely woman. She didn't make it. She's 10 years younger than my mother. They're going to get their vaccines this Saturday, and it's just very sad that within the last month or so of before being able to get that vaccine, it finally got its way in, and it did its toll. It did its toll. But the county was very much trying to help to contain it. And it seems that it's contained. A series of the staff also caught it. It started with the residents who needed a lot more hands-on assistance. It was kind of located in one area, but it spread, and they had to go to extreme protocols in order to try to contain it. It's pretty intense. So just pray for everybody that's out there, and hope that everybody can get their vaccines before anything else.
Do you know if any of the Northwest committees are looking into the establishment of vaccine sites in San Pedro?
Lori is very much on that, and the youth and outreach, she's really pushing out a lot of information.
Okay.
The last time there was a free testing, it was at the YMCA, and there was a lot of spread of information on that free testing day. And I know, I got the word out to a lot of people, and I heard that a lot of people took it. As far as the vaccines, it would be good to know.
Well,
You can always
I
call
don't know.
211, Carlos, if you need help. You can always call
Yeah.
211,
Right, no,
I gotta get
I'm
going.
aware.
24/7. If you don't want to
But
go
I was
online,
I was hoping that there is some way that one of the committees of Northwest or the other San Pedro's committees could pursue the issue of where they're going to be establishing vaccine sites in the harbor area.
Yeah.
Which committee is responsible for doing
don't-
that, but
I don't think there's any sites right now in the
no,
harbor.
no, there aren't. But I guess that's the question. I
There
know they're
should
gonna
be. There
expanding
should
the
be.
site.
There
I know
should
my
be.
cousin- I know my cousins went up to live in San Pedro, and they went up to Dodger Stadium, and they waited 4 hours in line.
Yeah.
But they were able to get the vaccine.
Well,
but-
I would say that I would highly suggest everybody to avoid Dodger Stadium, because everybody wants to go to Dodger Stadium. Seriously. I got my first, let me tell you, I already got my first dose because I'm a healthcare worker. So I got it in a small place in Lincoln Park, next to USC Keck Hospital. This is really what I suggest. Do not go to Dodger Stadium, because you're going to be there for hours and hours and hours in your car. You're better off to go to a much smaller facility, even a walk in, and do it there, because the chances are it's much easier. And there's also vaccine given at CVS or Rite Aid as well.
But for people who are 65 and under, I spoke with several different people, and really honestly, unless you are in a certain category, it was said, don't expect it to be able to get a vaccine until almost summer, late spring to summer.
Well, it also depends, because if you have an excellent GP and they do have they're not using it. My friend's got that, and she is 50. So, and you never know.
Okay, all
But
right.
it's not
Well,
the norm. It's not the norm. It's not
Yeah.
the norm, but it can happen. So if you have a great relationship with your GP,
Yeah.
ask them about it.
yeah,
When-
but there's a lot of people ahead of the list that should really get it, who are immune
I
compromised.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Look,
So-
Gwen and Mary, it's been late, but I need to get going.
Yeah, it's 8:01. Neil, were you here for any student reasons? Is this also something for?
No, I'm just a local activist, that's all.
Okay.
That's cool. Thank you.
please join us. Also be aware that this is the last bit, that we're looking for people to, well, we're going to have an election coming up if you're interested in running.
When is
Also,
up?
huh?
Like, what's the date specifically?
I believe it's January is when that I mean, sorry, early February is when that period starts. I think that you can find that information on the website.
The
Okay.
filing dates are February 13th to March 30th.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay. Yeah, I only asked because I'm already going to be running for office but that's going to be in 22. So,
Where are you running for office?
CD 15 against Joe Buscaino.
Go for it.
Good for you. All right.
I'm not a fan of the guy, so I feel I can do better work.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Prove yourself for sure.
Well, in the meantime, maybe in the interim, because you can do a little civic duty here.
Yeah.
We
I would
greatly
absolutely love to
appreciate
help
it.
you out.
We
For
greatly
sure.
appreciate it.
This is a great internship to the next office gig.
Mhm.
Seriously.
And I mean,
All right.
like, I literally, I work in, or not work, like, I am a political scientist by trade. So, like, yeah, I'm fairly familiar with the work at hand.
Okay. Well, if we have nothing else, I'll call this this meeting concluded. Thank you for participating, and I've got a lot of things on my list now.
Thank
So
you.
the next meeting will be February 18th. So, all right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Let's see how I can get out of here. Try to quit this. All right, stop video. And bye, Mary. Bye, Nina. Thank you.
You did great tonight.
Wow, thanks.
Well, you did great every meeting. What am I going to say?
Oh, wow.
No.
I'm- Thanks for the feedback.
It's difficult to do this. I know. So I'm telling you, you do it every month.
All right.
Yeah. So Philip 66, we don't want to talk about. Oh, I guess it's public safety.
Well, it was
But we're still recording, so we might want to stop recording.
no, I think I stopped already.
It says recording on my
It
end.
says still.
Yeah.
It does.
Mhm.
It is. You're right. Okay. Stop
Um,
recording.
Why can't I was talking you to on the phone?